Good morning, students. So, today's session I am going to explain about the concept synchronization in Java. So, last session Gayatri ma'am explained about what is synchronization. So, and what are the methods that are present in the synchronization concept. So, today I am going to explain. So, before moving to this, first we have a recap session. So, first one, where is the new object allocated memory? So if you are creating an object, so where the object is stored in so which memory area the new object is allocated. Any other answer? Okay. Consider you are going to create a new program. Okay. So in that, if you want to create an object that is obj and obj1, those are newly created objects. Okay. The newly created objects are allocated in young space memory. Okay. So we have three different sets of memory, that is on young generation, old generation and permanent generations in heap memory locations. So inside heap memory, we have three different sections. First one is on young, next one old, last one is on permanent memory. So if you are creating an object, that is a newly created object, means that is allocated in the young space memory location. Okay. So after, if the object is long lived, means that has moved to the old space. So initially all the objects are stored in young space memory location, that is present inside the heap memory location. Okay. So after a certain amount of period, again if the object is in live position only, position means again it has moved to the old space. So correct answer is young space. So next one, which of the following is a garbage collection technique? So which of the following is a garbage collection technique? Any answer? Shrutika, to which option? 2B. Okay. Any other answer? Okay. So garbage collection means, so correct answer is B only, mark and sweep model. So if you are not using, if the object is not in a live positions, if the object is used 1 year back or 2 year back, means the objects are marked by JVM. Okay. So each and every objects are marked by JVM and that is swept out from the heap memory location. So that is the concept of garbage collection. Mark and sweep. So initially we have young generation. So if you are creating an object, means that is allocated in the young generation memory location. So after a particular amount of time period, if the object is still in live position, means that has moved to old generation. So if the object is not in use, means, so all the objects are first marked by the JVM. Okay. So after that, that is swept out from the memory location. So here they are using the concept mark and sweep model. So that is the correct answer. Next one. Garbage collection can be controlled by a program or not. Garbage collection can be controlled by a program. It is true or false? Any answer? False. Any other answer? Okay. So very good. The correct answer is false only. Why? Because this in Java, the garbage collection can be done by automatically by JVM. Okay, wow. So in this, if you consider a language C, it uses the function 3 to remove all the unused locations, unused objects. And C++ it uses the function delete. But in Java, no need for program to remove all the unreferenced objects. JVM, it automatically perform the garbage collection. So here no need for any program to perform garbage collection. Okay, so garbage collection can be controlled by program. It is false. So JVM automatically perform garbage collection in Java. We can perform garbage collection through program also. That is a different concept. Okay, but in Java, this garbage collection can be done by automatically. Okay, correct answer is false. So next one, which operator is used by Java runtime implementation to free the memory of an object when it is no longer needed? So which operator is used to remove unused objects, that is unreferenced objects? In Java, which operator is used by Java runtime implementation to free the memory of an object when it is no longer needed? Any answer? Okay. So already I explained JVM, it automatically performs garbage collections. So no need to use any functions to perform a garbage collection. So here delete function that is used in C++ application. So free that is used in C applications, C programming language. So new operator it is used to create an object. So none of the mentioned above. So no need to remove objects through some functions. So JVM that okay, no need to use functions to perform garbage collections. So delete is used in C++ language and free is used in C language. New it is used to create an or allocate an object. Okay, so correct answer is none of the mentioned. Which operator is used in Java runtime implementation to free the memory of an object? So if we have objects in a particular memory locations, no need to use any method or a functions or operator to remove particular objects. So JVM automatically perform the necessary task. So correct answer is none of the mentioned. Okay, next one. Which function is used to perform some action when the object is to be destroyed? So if you want to destroy some objects, so before that, which function? Any answer? So which function is used to perform some action when so if you want to remove some objects from the particular memory locations, so before destroying the particular object, it execute one method. So what is the method? Harshini, finalize method. Okay, so that is the correct answer. So before performing the garbage collection, so first it called the finalize method. So once it finalizes all those things, again it destroy the object. Okay, so it called the finalize method. So before destroying all the objects, first it called the finalize method. So once it finalized, again it remove all the unreferenced memory. Okay, that is the correct answer, finalize. So that's all about recap session. So today we are going to discuss about the concept synchronization. So what is the synchronization? So consider this example diagram, see the image. So we have some shared resource. So we have process 1, process 2, process 3. We have n number of process. So all the process wants to access the shared resource. Okay, we have some common resource. So if all the process wants the common resource means we go for the concept synchronization. Because, so consider process 1. Process 1 wants to read the data from the shared region. So at the same time, process 2 wants to write some operation on the shared region means data inconsistency problem will occur. Okay. So consider I am a process 1. So I'm going to read something from the particular memory location. So at the same time, another one person write the data on the particular location means obviously data inconsistency problem will occur. So in our shared region, we have data 5. Okay, assume that we have shared value 5. So process 1 going to read the value 5. So at the same time, process 2 going to change the value to 10. So what obviously will happen means, so it leads to data inconsistency problem. Some unexpected value I am going to read in the particular situation. So to avoid this problem, we are using the concept synchronization. So what does the synchronization means? So if process 1 going to access the critical region means the region is locked by the synchronization procedure. They are using the concept lock. The process 1 lock the resources. Once it completes all its operation, it release the lock. That is the concept. Okay. So process 1 wants to access the data from the shared region. So at the time, process 1, it lock all the resources in the particular shared region. So once it completes its task, again it release the lock. So again next process can enter into the critical section and they can read or access the data from the memory location. Okay, that is the of using synchronization. So if you are using synchronization means we can avoid thread interferences and inconsistency problem. So for that we are going for the synchronization concept. So if you are using more than one thread, so if you are using more than one thread means obviously we go for a concept synchronization. If you have only one thread means no need to use synchronization concept. Okay, so here they are using the concept mutual exclusion. So based on the mutual understanding, they will share the resources. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about three concepts. First one is synchronized method, synchronized block, and static synchronization. Okay, so we will discuss this one by one. So already I explained that is lock. So see the example diagram. See the diagram. We have two threads. That is thread 1 and thread 2. Okay. So thread 1 wants to access the data that is present in the critical region. Consider this is a critical region. Okay. So this thread 1 wants to read data from this critical region. So what the thread 1 will do? It log the particular resource. Okay. So once it completes its task, again it releases the log. That is the concept of using lock. So based on some mutual exclusion, they will share the resources. Once thread 1, it completes its task, again it releases the lock. So again thread 2 or thread 3, any thread can enter into the particular region and they can access or read or write anything they can perform in the particular critical section region. Okay, so that is a concept of using lock. So next we have some example. So see this example. So I'm going to perform count operation. Okay. So left side, first we have an example 1. So class counter. So I'm going to perform my voice is audible or not? Sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to perform a count operation. So first one, so I'm going to declare count. So I'm going to perform count and finally I'm going to display count value. So inside class counter, I'm going to declare a function increment. So inside we have a function count plus plus. So what does count plus plus will do? It increment count value. Okay. So see our main program, class synchronization demo. Okay. This is not a synchronization problem. Just this is a normal example. Okay. So inside a main function, we have a statement counter c equal to new counter of. So I'm going to create object for the counter class. So counter c equal to new counter of and c dot increment. So I'm going to increment the counter value. So I'm going to call the function increment from the main function. So first I'm going to create object for the counter class. So counter c equal to new counter of. Okay. So again I'm going to call the particular function that is present inside the counter class, isn't it? So c dot increment. So what does the c dot increment will do? It call the increment function that is which is present in the counter class. Okay. So through the object only I can access this counter class. That's why we declare c dot increment. So it calls the increment function. So inside we have an count plus plus statement. So it increment the count value. So initially it takes a default value as 0. So after that it increment the count value as 1. So in this way it perform increment. We all know that. So consider the second example. So if you want to increment one more count means we have to give two statements that are c dot increment of and c dot increment of. So first time it calls c dot increment, it moves to the increment function and it increment the count value. So initial value is 0. After that it increment the count value was 1. So again I am going to call the same function c dot increment. So already what is our count value? Count value was 1. So again if you are calling means so again increment the count value. So what does the value do? So in this way we can increment or otherwise using some for loop we can increment a count value, isn't it? So we will see the next example using thread how to increment the count value. Okay. So see the example, we have a class counter. So inside we have one increment method. So inside we have a function count plus plus. We are going to perform a count operation. Okay. So here I am using the concept thread. Okay. So first inside a main function, I'm going to create an object for the counter class. So counter c equal to new counter of. Through this object c only, I can call the main, I can access the class counter. For that, we need to create object for the counter class. And I'm going to create object for the thread class. Okay, so if you want to perform thread operations, we need to create a thread. So thread new thread of thread. So we have two different types, that is on inheritance concept we can implement thread or interface concept, that is runnable interface. So here I am using a runnable interface concept. Okay. So thread T1 equal to new thread of new runnable. So here I am starting the thread and see here I am ending the particular thread operation. Okay. So in this way we can declare double thread. So thread T1 equal to new thread of new runnable. So inside we have a run function. So whatever the operations we want to perform, all the operations can be represented inside the run method. Okay. Whatever the operations if you want to perform, all those things can be represented inside our run method. Okay. So this is an user defined run method, isn't it? So but in thread class, this thread is a class, isn't it? In Java we have separate class for thread. Like string is a class, string buffer is a class. In the same way, thread is a class. Okay. So inside a thread, we have a run method. method. Okay, so if you want to execute the function, thread function means automatically it call the run method. So see here, T1 dot start off. If I'm going to start the particular thread, it implicitly call run method. We all know that, isn't it? So if you are declaring a statement, if you are calling the statement T start, it implicitly call the run method, which is present in the thread class. Okay, so already our thread class, it contains a run method. So to overcome that, we are representing that is an user defined run method. So whatever the operation we want to perform, all those things can be represented inside our run method. Okay, so what is the function here I'm going to perform? I'm going to perform an increment function. So inside the run method, I'm declaring a statement for int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 1000, I plus plus. I want to increment count from 0, starting initial value is 0, from 1 to 1000. Okay, so again I'm going to call the function c dot increment. So once this line is reached, the control moves to this increment function. Okay, so again we are going to perform a count operation. So first it call this t1 dot function. So this t1 is an object for the thread class. So it call the start function means it implicitly call the run method, which is present in the thread class. Here we explicitly declare the run method inside the thread class. So it called this run method. So the thread execute this run method. Okay. So again from this it call the function c dot increment. So this c dot increment, it is directly moves to the increment method and it increment the count value. So finally it display the count result. So here I am declaring the output as cannot predict. Why? Because we will check this program. Okay, this is our program. So here I am calling the function t1 dot start. So t1 dot start means it automatically call the run. So from this we have increment statement and it moves to the increment function which is present in the class counter. Okay. So one synchronize demo2 dot java. Again Java. Sorry. Java synchronize demo2. So what is the output? Count 32. So we'll check again. Count 143. We'll check again. The count is 0. So each and every execution, so it changes the count value. So why? Because so here we have an user defined thread that is T1. So before completing the particular operations, so sometimes what the main thread will do means main thread it stop executing the process of the user defined thread. Okay. So we have main thread and we have an user defined thread. This T1 it is a user defined thread. Isn't it? So before completing my process, what the main thread will do means main thread sometimes it stops its execution. Okay, so that's why the result has changed into 35 or 0 or something. Okay, so actually what is our count value? Our count value is 1000. Okay, if you want to get 1000 means we have to simply give one statement that is t1 dot join up. So what does this t1 dot join method means? So if I'm calling the method that is thread t1 means once the thread t1 it completes its task until the main thread must wait for the user defined thread. Okay, so this thread T1, it starts its execution. So before completes its task, main thread, sometimes it stops the execution of the user defined thread process. So to avoid this, we need to give a statement T1.join. If you give the statement like this means, so once the thread T1 it completes its task until the main thread must wait for the particular thread to complete its execution. Okay, for that we need to give a statement T1.join. So if you are using join method means, obviously we need to give a statement public static void main throws exception. Sometimes it throws an exception. So for that we need to give a statement throws exception. Okay, that is an important concept in join method. So we'll check this again. This is a single thread operation. Okay. Okay, so what is our count value? Count value is 1000. Again, we'll check the same. Count value is 1000. Okay. Count value is 1000. So if you are using single thread means, so just we can give a statement T1.join. Okay. So that is the concept of using single thread execution. So first we need to call a thread that is T1.start. So if you are not giving any statement join means, so without completing the task of thread T1, sometimes the main thread stop executing the process. Okay. So to avoid this, we need to give a statement T1.join. So until T1 thread completes its task, main thread must wait for the subthread. Okay. So that is the first concept. Okay, no need to change any other thing, just we need to give a statement T1.join. Okay, so that is the first example for single thread. So this is a program. Okay, so output is 1000. So next one, we have and two threads, T1.start and T2.start. Here I am not using any concept that is synchronization. Okay, so here we have a class counter. So inside we have a declaration that is count, and we have an increment function, and we have a main function that is inside a main function we have two threads, that is thread T1 and thread T2. These are the user defined threads. So here I am starting the thread and here I am ending the thread function. Okay, so inside a thread we have a run function. Okay, so again we have a thread 2, inside we have separate run method, and we have an increment functions. So we have two thread operation, that is T1.start and T2.start. So once the thread starts its execution, so T1.start means it implicitly calls the run method which is present in thread T1. Okay, so T1.start means, so it implicitly calls the run method which is present in thread T1. Okay, so inside we have a run method. So here I'm going to perform a count operation. So first it increment the count up to 1000. So that is our procedure. So first time it increment count up to 1000. So at the end it store count as 1000. So again T2.start. So it start executing thread T2. So and it increment the count from 1001 to 2000. Okay, already we have one count values 1000. So again it increment from 1001, 1002, 1003. So our output is 2000. Okay, we'll check this program. Okay, so what we will get? So first we have a thread that is t1.start. So t1.start it called the thread function. Okay, so inside we have a run method. So it called the run method, and inside we have an increment function. So it called this increment function, and it increment the count value. So and at the same time we have thread 2. So thread 2 it called the function t2.start off. It moves to the thread t2, and inside we have a run function. So if you are declaring a statement t2.start, the start function directly implicitly call the run method which is present in thread 2. So again inside we have for loop, and inside we have increment function. So first thread it increment count up to 1000, and second thread it increment the count from 1001 to 2000. So our output is 2000, isn't it? We will check this. We will get 2000 or not. So our programmer synchronization demo 4. Same program, t1.start and t2.start. Okay, initially count value is 2000. So again count as 1000. Again count as 1896, 89. So the count value may vary. Why? Because so here we have a thread T1. So thread T1 it starts its execution. So at the same time, if you are not using synchronization means at the same time thread 2 may also interfere with thread 1. So if both the threads are simultaneously, this process means obviously data inconsistency problem will occur, isn't it? So first T1 it starts its execution. So while T1 processing the data, T2 also start doing their execution. Why? Because here we are not using any concept that is synchronization. Okay, so both the simultaneously access the shared resources. So obviously it leads to some data inconsistency problem. That's why the output is varied. Okay, to overcome this, we go for the concept that is synchronization. Okay, so if you want to predict exact output means you have to go for the concept that is synchronization. First we have a synchronized method. So what is the synchronized method? So if you declare a method as synchronized, then we can perform synchronization operation. That is the first concept, synchronized method. Okay, so the synchronized method it is used to lock an object for a shared resource. So example, we have thread T1 and thread T2. We are using the function synchronized method. Okay, so first if you are going to execute thread 1 function means, so the thread 1 it lock the shared resource. So once it completes its execution, again it release the lock. Okay, that is the concept. So when a thread, see the last sentence, when a thread invokes a thread synchronized method, it automatically acquires the lock for the object and release it when the thread completes its execution. So thread T1, it wants to access some function. If you are using a synchronized method means the particular method is locked until the thread completes its execution. So once the thread completes its execution, it releases the lock. Again, the shared resource can be accessed by some other thread. Okay, that is the concept. So see the example. So same previous problem. Okay. So here I am using slide changes. Here I am changing a slide changes, that is synchronized void increment. Okay. So see here, will count inside statement public synchronized void increment. So if you are using the word synchronized, the particular method not. So first T1, so is thread 1. Okay, so inside thread we have a run function. So and inside we have an increment function. So once it reaches this C dot increment statement, it has moved to the counter class to perform increment operation. Okay, so inside we have synchronized void increment. So the thread T1 is logged until it completes its execution. Okay, so once it completes its execution, again T2 it starts the process. So that is the difference between previous program and this program. Okay, so previous example, just we declare a statement public void increment. So there I'm not declaring any keyword synchronized. So if you are not using a keyword synchronized means, so what the compiler will do, so both the thread 1 and thread 2 simultaneously access the shared regions. So here our concept is count only. We are going to perform count operation. That is our major concept. So here we are using the concept synchronized void increment. So see here we have a method public void run. Can I declare public synchronized void run? That is our main question in the thread concept. So I am using a synchronized method as separate method. Can I declare synchronized keyword in run method? No, I cannot declare synchronized keyword in this run method. Why? Because thread is a class which is present inside our Java. Okay, Java it contains one class, that is thread. So inside a thread we have a method run. So we have to follow the same procedure, that is public void run. Or we have to declare void run, that is also acceptable. Okay, but we cannot declare synchronized keyword here because we are overriding the run method which is present in the thread class, and I'm using a user defined run method. Okay, so inside thread we have a run method, but here we are using the concept method overriding. Okay, so this is an user defined method. So both the run method have the same procedure. So we cannot declare public synchronized void run. We cannot declare like this. For that only we are creating a separate class and we are creating a separate method, and that method is declared as synchronized. I think you will clear this concept. We cannot declare the statement public synchronized void run. Okay, why? Because thread it contains a run method. Okay, that is a predefined run method. So here we are overriding the run method which is present in the parent class, that is thread. Okay, so we need to follow public void run. We cannot declare, we cannot use synchronized keyword in the run method. For that only we are using a separate class for the counter and we are implementing the operation. Okay, so okay, coming to the point. First we have a T1.start. So T1.start means, so it moves to the particular thread. Okay, so this is our thread class. So inside we have a run method. So here I am going to increment count from 1 to 1000. So it called the function c.increment. So it moves to the increment function. Here I am using the concept synchronized. So synchronized means, so until it completes its task, it does not release lock. Okay, so again once T1 it completes its task, again the lock is released, again T2 start executing the process. Okay, again T2 starts its executions. We have same function, that is void run. Inside we are having a statement c.increment. So I'll count as 1000, again it increment count from 1001 to 2000. So it display the answer 2000. We'll check this. Okay, synchronized void increment, or we can declare public. Don't get confused. Okay, so this is our synchronized method concept. Just we need to declare a keyword as synchronized in this method. That's enough. Remaining all the coding is same. Okay, what is the output? Count 2000. So we'll execute this again. Synchronization demo file.java, count 2000. So count 2000. So it does not vary the value. So original output is 2000. So it produced the exact output as 2000. Okay. So if you are using synchronized method or synchronized block or static synchronization, so it displays the answer as exact output. Why? Because here there is no thread interference and no thread inconsistency. That is no inconsistency of data. Okay. So once the thread it completes its task, again it moves to the next function. Okay. So that's all about synchronized method. Okay. So output is 2000. But the previous problem, we cannot predict the correct output because that is not a synchronized problem. Okay. So sometimes thread 1, it start executing the process. Sometimes thread 2, it executing the process. So data inconsistency problem will occur. So next one is on synchronized block. So synchronized block, that is same as the synchronized method also. So if you want to lock and particular resources, we go for the synchronized concept, we all know. Okay. So if you want to lock and particular amount of lines of code, particular block of code, we are using the concept synchronized block. Okay. So the synchronized block, it is also used to perform a synchronization operation only. Okay. If you have some shared resources, we can use the synchronization concept to access the shared resources. Okay. So this synchronized block, it is also used to lock an object. So consider we have a thread T1, T2, T3 means first T1, it lock the particular resources. Once T1, it completes its execution again, T2 start executing the process. Okay. That is similar to thread operation, sorry, synchronized method operation only. Okay. So I will show the demonstration in 5th R class. Okay. So I will explain this one. So same program, we have class counter and we have a main class. So we inside main class, we have two threads, thread T1 and thread T2. Okay, we have two objects, T1.start, T2.start. T1.start means it implicitly call run function, and T2.start means it implicitly call run method which is present in thread T2. Okay, so each and every time, sorry, first T1.start, it call the run function which is present in thread T1, and inside we have an increment function. So this increment, it call the increment method which is present in the counter class. But here we have a statement synchronize this. That is, I'm going to log the particular block. That is this block. Okay. So synchronize this. I'm going to log this particular block. For that, I'm using the keyword synchronized this. Okay, so T1, it log this resource. Once it completes its task, again, it release the log. So, and T2 start executing the process. Again, it block this synchronized block. Again, it completes its execution and release the log. So, we will discuss this concept in next session. If you have any doubt, please post your doubts. Otherwise, you can leave. Any doubt? Okay, thank you.